My topic is about National Food Law and presented by Jennifer Janisha. Now let me introduce what are all the synopsis we have that introduction of food law, why food law is important, why this government has given a law for food and what is the important matter in that, and history of food law, what are all the law we have and act regulations we have in a national food law, and we are finally going to conclude with that. Now first, introduction of food law. What is the introduction of food law? It is a set of regulation and standards governing by the government for the production, processing, distribution, and sale of food products. It is to ensure safety, quality, and consumer protection. Everything. It have a various aspects such as labeling, packaging, advertising, additives, contaminants, hygiene, everything. Every steps we should have a proper procedure, and these laws are designed to safeguard a public health and prevent from the fraud and promote a fair trade practices. In food industry, every food industry should have a public health safeguard, prevent fraud, and promote a fair trade practices. Food laws may be enacted at national level, regional level, and also international level. Of course, these national and international food laws will help that subject to periodic updates and address emerging issues and advances in food technology. These food law will enacted like a particular period will have a particular decision from the food. So another next few days will have another diseases like bacterial infection something. So it will be not the same for everybody. It will be different for somebody. So for a periodic time it had like this diseases, and we created a law for this food and everything. It comes under the introduction. When a disease is coming, or when any attacks is attacking from somebody, so the law will be gone through by what are all the procedures you have done, and why it has become a disease, like this is from this, and why it is effective to everybody. So it should have a law. So if it has had a law, it cannot be exceeded by that level. So government is producing such a way of laws and everything for a public health product, public health and consumers, everybody. Why food law is important? Food law is important for several reasons: for public health and safety, consumer confidence, quality assurance, fair trade practices, environmental protection, market access, innovation and technology. These are all comes under the food law importance, because every public should have a good health and safety. It is one of the consumer confidence, because if we have a confidence in some of the food, then we will consume that and we'll get energy. Everybody loves food and everybody needs food. Everybody will eat foods for their energy source. So it should be confidence. It should have confidence. If we ate this food, we'll get some energy, everything. And quality assurance. Of course, quality assurance is important in a food, because if the food is not a quality one, then it is not a good one to consume. It need a good quality and good manufacturing practices, everything. And fair trade practice, of course, every industry will have a fair trade practices, and environmental protection. It should not harmful to a human being and also harmful to the environmental. And it is becoming a market access, and now we can see many innovations and technologies in the food law. Okay, next, history of food law. What is the history of the food law? Why it is become a law for everybody? It has a long and complex involving over centuries to address various challenges related to the food safety quality, like consumer protections, everything. In ancient times, Early civilizations such as ancient Egypt and China developed these rudimentary food regulations to ensure food safety and prevent fraud. And Middle Ages European societies enacted laws and regulations governing food production. And industrial level revolution, um, late 19th and 20th century, mid 20th century, globalization and harmonization, everything through this history, we can understood that food law is more important to understand the situation faced by public or consumer, everybody. It is one of the main thing that they are introducing to prevent food, to prevent from the fraud, and to promote a good fair trade practices. So food law is important, and these are all the history for the food laws. What is national food law? Our nation is an India, and it is a wonderful nation, and this nation is also have a food law. In India, the primary national food law is Food Safety and Standards. In Act 2006, it means that FSS's Act 2006. This act was enacted to the various laws related to the food safety and standards. Food Safety and Standards Authority of India is called FSSI to regulate and supervise food safety and standards in India. This FSS Act aims to ensure that the availability of safe and wholesome of food for human consumption, to regulate the manufacture, storage, distribution, sale, and import of food items. So this act came from 2006 to ensure that good manufacturing practices, good storaging practices, distribution, sale, everything and every food items is important. Okay, next, what are all the national food law? In 1906, first significant United States has regulate the food and drugs, and these are all like international standards like Food, Drug and Cosmetic 1938, and this provide more comprehensive regulations of food and drugs, cosmetics and medical devices, everything. Federal Food Drug Consumptive Act 1958 is an amendment of the Act 1938 legislation, further strengthen regulations every food, drugs, etc. And Food Quality Protection Act 1996. It is amended to the previous pesticides legislation and establish new safety standard. Yeah, of course, it is a new safety standard because bacterial infection or some water it become a spoiled food. Everything we can able to relate with that. And this pesticide is one of the more dangerous contaminations. Moreover, the pesticides will affect the food through the wall area and some down in we are if now we are keeping our food in a plain area or near to the wall, everything will easily make the pest to enter into the food. So this act is very important. This act, after this act, the food should be stored at least 2 meter from the wall and 2 feet from the floor. Everything. This act has created some awareness of these food preservations and food protection, everything. And FDA Food Safety Modernization Act on the 2011, we had this act empowered the FDA to better protect public health and strengthening the food safety system, everything. And Allergen Labeling Consumer Protection Act 2004, this act requires the food labels clearly identify the presence of major food allergens. What are all the food we have added, and what are all the allergens we have, and why it is becoming allergens and what is the quantity, quality, everything it will be in a labeling. And food safety standards, contaminants, toxins, and residues regulations were came in 2000 level. These regulations under the FSS Act set limits for the contaminants and toxins, everything. This food safety and standards licensing and regulation of food business regulations has came at 2000 level, framed under the FSS Act. These regulations govern the licensing registration of food business in India. So these are all the act and regulations and for the national food law. So finally, now we are going to conclude that the national food law in India encapsulated primary by the Food Safety and Standards Act 2006. Yeah, of course, before I told you in the national food law, what is national food law, everything. So this act, Food Safety and Standards Act, FSSA, it is a national law for India and it is introduced in 2006. It is to comprehensive a framework to regulate food safety and standards across the country. Not only for a particular area, it is across the country. And it is consolidated various food law, established the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, FSSI. So body overseeing the food safety regulations supported by the contaminants, toxins, residues, licensing, legal framework aims to ensure the availability of safe and wholesome food for the human consumption while preventing food adulteration and maintaining a quality standards throughout the food supply chain. And finally, thank you.